Senator, it's good to see you tonight. Thanks for being here. Your reaction to that testimony and your questioning of Ms. Greenfield.
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, what it is she gave a speech in 2019 at the Savannah State. It's a historically black college, very good school. And that school at the time had a Confucius Institute. And she said she was not aware about what the Confucius Institute was doing locally until after she went there. And she said today at the hearing, and I think a spokesman for the Biden transition said previously that she regretted having done the speech and she laments it very much. I'm glad she said that. Here's the problem. She has I think, over 35-year record of being in the foreign service in this country, having served in various posts. I don't know how it's possible that you can accept a speech and go speak at a place on behalf or with the Confucius Institute and not know who they were and the concerns we have about them. The American Association of University Professors, as early as 2014, was talking about how they were a danger to academic freedom, how they censored who can speak on campus, what professors could teach, and so forth. And then, of course, in 2018, Director Wray, at an open hearing of the Intelligence Committee, I believe in response to one of my questions, said that we're looking at Confucius Institute. We're very concerned about them. So that's a problem for me. I don't understand how she could not have known that. And that's what I asked her about today. The second problem, which we didn't have time to get into, but others did, is what she said in the speech. And what she said in the speech was a couple things that are concerning. Number one, that we shouldn't turn the continent of Africa into a battleground of great power competition, which is absurd. That's exactly what it is. China's bribing and stealing its way through the trapping country after country in a debt trap. And the other thing she said is that that China can really be an actor for positive, for good things like good governance and rule of law. And I'm not sure what she meant by good governance and rule of law. And then the third thing today is I asked at the very end, does she consider what's happening to the Uyghur Muslims in the Xinjiang province to be genocide? Because, as you know, Secretary Pompeo defined it as such. And by the way, Anthony Blinken, the new Secretary of State at his hearing last week, said as much. And she wouldn't answer. What she said is the State Department is reviewing it. I know it's been called that. We'll see what that review shows. So I don't know why she couldn't have said that. Wow. It's an outrageous thing. So very, very concerned about the first one. Didn't make any sense to me that she could not have known who Confucius Institute was, what they did. The second is that she at any point in her career thought that China could be a force for rule of law and good governance. And the third is that she refused to say that what's happening to the Uyghur Muslims is genocide, and said that she has to review it, which is, to me, code for no, but I want to get confirmed. That's what that's code for.
It's unbelievable watching the video of these people, the Uyghurs and other ethnic minorities, handcuffed, blindfolded. It's really disgusting what we're seeing. And it's pretty clear that all roads are leading to China. And this is probably the most important policy. Real quick, I want to get into other things because I got to ask you about schools, domestic issues. And I know China's domestic as well because of the impact it has on this country.
Oh, yeah.
But what are you going to be looking at out of the Biden administration for an indication of whether or not they're going to be soft on China with so many China appeasers in the administration?
Yeah, so there was a consensus up here, okay, and it was bipartisan for a very long time that don't worry about China. They're poor. When they get rich, they'll be like us. I think many people admit that they were wrong about it and have been pretty aggressive ever since, and it's a bipartisan consensus. So obviously people are all going to say that. But when you have someone who actually refuses to say that, even now you get concerned because we do have this element in this country that for whatever reason believes that China is someone we can work with, or worse, that the natural order of things is that China is ascendant and we are descendant, and that they should, we need to somehow make room and space for them to become the dominant power. I mean, it sounds crazy to think about it, but there are people in American public policy that believe this and feel this way, that the world would be a better place if America was less powerful and relative to China.
Well, corporate America needs to get the memo on all of this. We had Acting Director of National Intelligence Rick Grenell on earlier in the week, and we were talking about the current administration and the cabinet. He thinks somebody else is really running things. Listen to Rick Grenell, and I want to get your take on Biden's cabinet.
Susan Rice is there inside the White House. She's been given a portfolio as to domestic policy. There's no question that she's running domestic and foreign policy. We've got a vice president who needs to spend most of her time in the Senate because that's a 50-50 tie. So Susan Rice is extremely excited that Vice President Harris is preoccupied in the Senate, and the shadow presidency of Susan Rice is front and center.
You agree with that, Senator? Of course, Susan Rice did not need to get confirmed by the Senate.
Right. Yeah, look, I don't know who's running in the White House. Obviously, I probably wouldn't. I'm not very close to the Biden White House to be in. They've only been in office for a week. Irrespective, you know, if the people running it actually had good policies, I'd be fine with that. You know, I mean, to some great extent. But I think that's going to be the problem that's concerning. What we've seen in the last week here is it's literally a wish list. If you drew up a wish list and said, this is what the radical left wants, they've been going through the boxes and checking them one by one. Every day there's a new announcement, you know, and on climate, on leaving 11,000 people without jobs with the stroke of a pen. You know, the issue here on what they did last week with that immigration order that, as I read it, and I asked for clarification, as I read it, it could be read to say that if you committed a horrific crime like the rape, or murdered, a minor, murder, or sexual abuse, and you're out of jail by January 19th, you're not a priority for deportation. So I'm very concerned about the policies because they sound like a checklist of all the dreams of the radical left that are being put in place by executive order, unprecedented, over 35 at last count in less than a week.
Senator, real quick before you go, I got to ask you about the schools. Already we saw $30.75 billion education stabilization fund. That provides $13.5 billion for elementary and secondary school emergency relief fund. You guys are approving all this money to schools, and no, the kids are not in schools. The teachers union are pledging to return to the classroom only when it's, quote, safe. Your reaction?
There shouldn't be any federal taxpayer money of COVID relief going to schools that aren't open. I mean, the purpose of the money is to open the schools. If the schools aren't going to open, we shouldn't send you the money.